capturing sparks every day. So this is kind of like a pre-production phase. I think you should always be writing new ideas. If you leave it up to chance or inspiration, you're likely just gonna fall out of practice, and that's gonna make it harder to get into the creative zone when you really need to. I've made it a daily habit to try to capture at least one idea every day. It's kind of like a, just to keep the gears moving sort of thing. Like, it doesn't have to be like a super badass idea or anything. It's more of the process of writing something every day. And usually it takes me about 15 minutes. So I get up early and I put about 15 minutes into this, and it's fucking fine. So these ideas are purposely vague and simple because I want to use them kind of like as a catalyst to iterate new ideas from. I call these sparks because they can be used to ignite ideas that later turn into songs. So what is a spark? A spark is a simple rhythm or melody idea that can be used as a springboard for riffs or songs. Most of my sparks start as like a rhythm idea because that's how my mind works, and also because rhythm is basically the foundation for everything else. Usually ideas come to me when I'm away from the studio, so I use my phone or watch to record myself whispering the idea. Tapping quarter notes against your device as you record gives timing context to your idea so that it will make sense to you the next time you hear it. You can leave your ideas in your phone just like this and be totally fine. I find that a little bit hard to navigate, so I built a Notion database for mine, and it makes them easier to sift through and pull from. I will show you that right now. So this is I call it my Spark database. So these are just different ideas that I've had. They all start as voice notes usually, and then I convert them in Cubase into like a little rough demo. Oh wait, I guess I could show you how I do all of that. Let's pretend for a moment that I just came up with an idea, a riff idea. This is probably going to sound dumb because I don't actually have a riff idea in my head. All right, so everybody has a voice note recording app on their phone. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you have. I can pretty much guarantee you that you have one of these apps. The iPhone comes with something called Voice Memos, and it is super easy to use because there's just a fucking red button and you just fucking start going. I recommend tapping quarter notes to keep the timing context. So here's some random fucking idea I just came up with. It's probably dumb, but who cares? I also highly recommend stopping on the downbeat of the next measure, because if you import these into Cubase like I do, that'll give you an easy way to line everything up with the grid. I'll show you in a bit. I give it a weird fucking name. That way I can find it in my database easily. Let's call this Poop Blaster 2000. Bam. So now we have Poop Blaster 2000. I don't know if you can read that. It's probably not going to focus, but whatever. Poop Blaster 2000. And now I can enter this into my database. If we switch to the database view, I just came up with Poop Blaster 2000. So that's it. So it's in the fucking database. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I can completely forget about the idea, and it doesn't fucking matter because I have it captured and it's already in my fucking database. So I like to try to convert my voice note ideas into simple demos in Cubase as soon as I get a chance so that I can evaluate its potential in the context of the proper instruments. I mean, basically, that's a fancy way of saying, like, I don't want to listen to myself being like, like that, whatever. I'm not going to be able to tell if that's really a good idea or not until I get it into Cubase and make a simple demo from it. So I like to do that before I even really judge these ideas that I have in my database. It's just a quick process. I will show you how I do that now. Cubase is open. This is just a project file that I use to capture these little demo things. When it gets too full, I just make a new one because these do tend to get a little bit fucking crazy long. But this is how I pull these ideas into Cubase. So I go to my database. I see that I have 2 riffs that are in my voice note thing that are not in Cubase yet. So let's fucking go ahead and transfer those. So they're on my phone here. All I need to do is send it to my computer real quick. Boom, there's Poop Blaster. That's the one we did earlier in the video. So I have to convert these to something that Cubase can open. And I'm going to use Isotope RX7 for that. If you use a voice note recorder that records in something that you can import into your DAW, you don't actually have to convert your files, but I do, so here I am. But luckily it's an easy process. 24-bit wave, same folder is fine. Export 24-bit. Boom. So now I have these waves, and I can drag these straight into Cubase. So I'm going to start with the first one, just keeping everything in the same order as the database. So there's one. And then something I like to do is just give a bunch of room to work on this if I want to duplicate it or whatever. And then I'll go way over here and then just put a node on the tempo envelope. And then that way I can adjust the tempo here without fucking up anything past this node. And that's important because we're about to fucking import some shit over here with our Poop Blaster wave file. Poop Blaster. And I'm putting it here on my scratch track that I already have set up. We've got a count in, so we can lose that. Go to the first beat of where the idea starts, and let's find the end. Okay, there's the last downbeat, which is actually the start of the next measure. We're going to find out how many measures this idea is by playing this without the click. Okay, there's 4 bars. So let's set my grid to 1 bar. And then we can count these 1, 2, 3, 4. And now our 4-bar recording lines up with the grid. If you zoom in, sometimes these won't be perfectly aligned, but that's all right because we can stretch it by switching to the stretch tool and then bam, stretching it to the snap point. We've got a little bit of that thing. That doesn't fucking matter. A lot of this will probably seem like overkill, but I find this super fucking handy to have this shit. So that's why I do it. I'm going to use this free warp tool to line this up a little bit better. Because it only takes like, a minute real quick. Just less than a minute, really. And that's also why I do that, tapping the quarter note thing, because it makes that a lot easier. All right, and then now this should line up with the grid. I'll turn the click on. And now I just fucking program some drums to that pattern. And remember, this is just for the basic idea. It doesn't have to be some badass riff or anything yet. Usually it's good to set this to 16ths. Man, this riff sounds pretty dumb, but oh well. Cool. All right. I've got that pattern. And that's basically what I'm looking for is that pattern. Because this is just a really quick that's why we call this a spark, because we're not putting a bunch of time into this. I'm going to quarter notes on the hi-hats, keeping it super fucking simple. Crash, why not? And we'll do like a halftime snare thing, because that's usually where it ends up on most of these ideas for whatever reason. Yep, and then we gonna put that on the motherfucking bass. And it's gonna be a MIDI bass because this makes it easier to, for me anyway, get the shit down without getting hung up on minor details that don't really matter. Put it on B because that's the 7th string on my 8th string. Not really liking this riff. This riff's kind of lame, but whatever. It's fine. It illustrates the point. Ooh, I'm gonna make that one held on there. Yeah, here we go. Okay, got it. I'm just gonna copy this over. Come on, motherfucker. Boom. Cool. Now we can loop record this motherfucking part right here. I just need to grab a guitar. I have a guitar now. This is what I mean about keeping this a spark. So this is basically just the rhythm idea, but by taking it out of the voice note realm and actually putting instruments to it, It makes it a little bit more real and easier to judge the idea. I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to loop this part and let's track the guitars real quick. Cool. It's not super clean, but it'll get the fucking point across. Cool. There is a riff, and for rendering, I'm going to make it a little bit longer because that's going to be kind of short if I'm listening to that, elsewhere. So I'm just going to make it about yay long, and then make a export marker thing. And this is where I put the name of the riff in, which that one is, I'm actually, we're not using Poop Blaster. We're going to use 1022-2, whatever. There's way too many twos going on, dude. All right. So that one's ready for export. And I have this set up to, all I have to do is set it to MP3 and select those two regions, add those to the queue, and motherfucking render those. And I can drag these files into the database so that I can listen to these wherever the fuck I want, as long as I have an internet connection. So this 10.2.22 goes here, and then 10.2.22_2, bam. And this is no longer a voice note. It is now in Cubase form. It is in this project file. And that's it. That's all I have to worry about. So this is like my daily practice. I've been doing this for quite a while now. This isn't really part of the album writing process per se, but since I will be drawing heavily from my riff database, I wanted to show you a look at what I've been doing towards the album, which is just basically writing riffs every day. I like to add these demo recordings to the database so that way I always have a library of starting point riffs to start from. I used to just throw things in a folder, and it would just get so massive that it became hard to navigate, and it kind of just became kind of a black hole of forgotten riffs. And this is much easier to curate and pull from. And that's what the next video is going to be about, is kind of organizing these ideas and ranking them and, determining which ones you want to use. So I'll see you then.